please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self regard?
I do.
You may be seated.
Sir, will you state your name and spell your last name?
My name is Jacob Marshall, Jacobmarshall.
And Mr. Marshall, do you know Gaige Grosskreutz?
I do.
Would you say that he's a friend of yours?
I would.
And has he been a roommate of yours in the past?
Yes.
Okay. And from what period of time to what period of time were you guys living as roommates?
I want to say maybe 3 months up prior to the incident of, I don't recall the exact night that happened, but probably like 3 months prior to that, he was living with me up until.
So if I said May of 2020, sound fair?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And after August 25th, 2020, did you visit your friend Gaige Grosskreutz in the hospital?
Yes, I did.
And do you remember when you visited him?
I believe the following day after the incident happened that night, I went to see him the next day as soon as I could get a hold of his family and stuff. So yeah.
And when you saw him, did you see him in Milwaukee?
Yes.
And you posed for a picture with him in the hospital in Milwaukee. Is that right?
Objection, leading.
We've heard that objection quite a bit during the trial, and the suggestiveness is the offensive part of a leading question, and somehow I don't feel from what we've heard already that he's going to lead this witness into an answer, so the objection is overruled.
Did you take a photograph with him at the hospital in Milwaukee?
Yes, we did.
Did you do you have did you at the time have a Facebook account?
At the time, yes.
And after you took that photograph with Mr. Grosskreutz, did you post that photograph on your Facebook account?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 70 for identification. Mr. Marshall, can you take a look at that? Is that a picture of you and Mr. Grosskreutz?
It is.
Okay, and that's a picture in the hospital that was taken?
Yes.
Okay. And I want you to look to the right of the photograph. There's some, not that familiar with Facebook, but there's an entry that you made with your name and then some writing on it. Is that right?
It appears so, yes.
Okay. Can you put up? So this is the Facebook post we're talking about, and tell me if this is fair. It says, I just talked to Gaige Grosskreutz, two. His only regret was not killing the kid and hesitating to pull the gun before emptying the entire mag into it. He said that to you, correct?
No.
He didn't say that to you?
He never said that to me.
You just posted something about your friend, your roommate, that was a lie?
I did. Given the circumstances and all the threats I've received on the internet, I've never been put in a position like that. Addresses of ours were posted. My mother was getting inboxed. My sister. It was insane with everything going on at the time. I made a bad remark. I was trying to stick up for my friend at the time who, he didn't know any of this was going on. He didn't see the post or anything.
You're not sticking up for him. You're saying what he said.
No.
Hold on. This post down here should have killed him right then and there. That's you saying that, right?
That is me saying that, yes.
Okay. This post right here is you equating something that Mr. Grosskreutz said to you.
I lied. He never said that. Those words have never came out of his mouth.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. This is asked and answered, argumentative, and leading.
Overruled.
So he never said that. You made it all up.
100% made it all up.
Nothing else. Thank you.
State.
Mr. Marshall, after you learned that your roommate had been shot that night, what did you do?
I actually went to Kenosha trying to figure out if he was alive. My sister was the one that notified me. She was watching his live stream, and I had to figure out if my friend was alive. Even at the time, I had no answers. So I drove from Milwaukee to Kenosha to the first hospital. They were transferring him to a secondary hospital, which then he got flight lifted back to Milwaukee. So I basically drove down to Kenosha to drive back to see him in Freighter, but I wasn't able to see him until the following day, at least, I don't know, like 12 hours at least or plus after the incident happened. So
As you came down to Kenosha, you first went to KMH or Freighter South looking for him, is that right?
yes, it is.
And you got there a few minutes after he'd been moved to another hospital in Kenosha, is that right?
Yes, I don't know the exact second hospital. It's like St. Mary's or something along those lines, something like that.
And then when you went to that second hospital, you got there a few minutes after the helicopter had flown him all the way back up to Milwaukee.
Yeah, I actually was watching him get loaded into the Flight for Life. I kind of assumed it was him, and still I had no idea if he was going to make it. I didn't know the severity of things.
And so then you drove back up to Milwaukee to Freighter there to try and see whether or not your roommate was alive.
Well, yeah, that was a goal, but like I said, I wasn't able to get a hold of anyone. He was obviously anonymous at the hospital. I was just trying to get answers for his mom and his family to make sure, I wasn't sure if my friend was going to make it or not. So I was just, following him around trying to figure it out. But yeah.
You were worried, you were scared.
I've never been in that position in my life. It was very traumatic watching, my roommate, best friend get shot, and like I said, I thought he was dead from the second of how everything played out. So yeah, I was very scared, very worried about everything.
On top of being worried about his safety, you were also experiencing people putting his name on the internet, correct?
Yes.
And then all sorts of people who supported the defendant were making threats against him and you, correct?
Yes, I actually believe one of the guys I was sending threats was with the defendant that night. His name is like Dustin Collette or something. He was sending pictures of guns to us. That was just a little things. Old addresses of ours got leaked out. I was in fear for my family and fear for my friends. Like it was pretty crazy.
So this post where you're talking about emptying a magazine, was that your way of kind of trying to deter everybody from coming after you by letting them know that you guys are armed and ready to defend yourselves?
That was 100% it. Gaige has never said those words. I was trying to stick up for him more or less. That was, looking back, obviously not a good choice of words to say. I put in my emotions of, what I wish would have happened. I guess you could say it that way that night. But those words never came out of my friend's mouth. When I seen him the next day at the hospital, I cried. I was like, I'm so glad you're alive. Kind of let him know the severity of everything going on social media. It was pretty wild. So yeah.
And it's fair to say that even after that, in the year, 14 months since then, you and Gaige have continued to experience threats, harassment online, things like that.
The second I got subpoenaed out of court on Monday, instantly was already getting hundreds of messages, friend requests from people I have no idea. It still goes on to this day. It's insane.
Is your friend Gaige the type of person who would take another life?
No, and that's clearly shows of.
The objection is sustained.
Gaige is a medic,
He is a medic.
a paramedic, and an EMT.
Yes.
Fair to say he's dedicated his life to preserving and healing other people.
Yes, he cares about the wellness and safeties of others.
Nothing further.
Mr. Marshall, you took this post down, did you not?
After getting all the harassment and stuff and instantly seeing that comment screenshot and knowing people are going to try to twist that right away, yeah, I took it down immediately.
And you knew from this post, can you bring up the post again? You knew from the post,
Because the picture on the bottom shows Mr. Grosskreutz with a firearm, right? You see that?
I do.
Okay. So you, out of anger or frustration, You knew that if you said that if his only regret was not killing the kid, you knew that would hurt him, right?
I did not at the time. Like I said, I was trying to stick up for my friend. It was a very hectic thing. I've never dealt with that situation like that. It was bad judgment.
So your method of sticking up for your friend, who you know is possessing a firearm, is to lie about something he said.
And like I said, bad.
Ruled.
I don't have anything else.
I was gonna say, like I said, it was gonna be bad. It was a bad judgment, bad call on my part of even wording something like that, and it was out of pure anger. That's really all I have.
Judge, I move 7D. I have no other questions.
Any objection?
I have no objection to the exhibit, and I have no further questions.
You may step down, sir. Received.